Hello YouTube and fellow DC Comic fans! I'm Kelly One Shot, and this is the Post-Crisis Podcast. And today, we're going to talk about Year of the Villains, the Lex Luthor one-shot from DC Comics, written by Jason Luthor, with artwork by Brian Hitch and Andrew Curie, and colors by Tom Umore. Okay, so this is actually the Lex Luthor one-shot that takes place side by side with the Justice League comic written by Scott Snyder. Here we actually start this book off in Earth 38 in the past, where we see Superboy, Clark Kent, Kal-El, and in this timeline he's Superboy, and then we actually go to the house of Lex Luthor, where we see a young Lex Luthor with bright red hair and his dad is trying to teach him how to ground himself and how to not let his ego and his desires fuel him and motivate him, and that he needs to live by the family's name, which is weak, ultimately. It's here that Lex's father suddenly gets a headache, and he kind of just falls down to the ground. And then we actually see Lex Luthor from our present timeline, the Apex Lex, and he is talking to a younger version of himself from a different Earth. And he tells him that he's not alone anymore, and the boy can actually feel Lex inside of his mind, and he actually says that there is a multiverse, and he learns this through communicating with the Apex Lex, because Apex Lex shows him about Perpetua and the War of Doom and the universes and the entire Omniverse, and he kind of just lets him know about everything essentially. And he is here where he actually kills Lex's father in this world, just because, you know, it goes back to his own hatred for his own father. So he kind of just annihilates his father in front of this young Lex Luthor. And it's here that we actually start a multiversal time-traveling journey here. We actually go to an Earth where there's a Batman talking, and then we actually see that there was a corporation battle between LexCorp and Wayne Enterprises, and the two kind of fought, and then we actually see that there is Doomthor, because on this world, Doomsday is leading the pack or whatever, and our Lex on this world is Doomsday based. The two have a conversation, and it seems that Apex Lex is going to try to take him down while also learning something from Doomthor. We then actually go to Earth 32 in the future, where we see a version of Superman who is also a Martian, so he has got to be incredibly strong, you would imagine. And on this Earth, we see that the Lex Luthor here is in a Batman Beyond style suit. So he is a Batman Beyond in this world, and he has a butler that also looks like Clark, and he wears a Superman cape. It's here that this Batman Lex talks about having a headache, and as he walks into his room, he can instantly read the telepathy of Apex Lex and the younger Lex, and they have a conversation here. And this Batman Lex is pretty baller. He does a good job to fight back against Lex Luthor here, but ultimately Apex Lex uses Doomthor to attack the Martian Superman, which causes the Lex Batman to try to help him. Ultimately, Apex Lex is here to challenge the different Lex Luthors and to learn stuff from them, to place them against each other, so that way he can find their strengths and their weaknesses here. We actually then go to Earth 1 in the future, where we see an agent talking about the Black Mercy, a parasitic type substance. It's an alien flora that is actually used, it kind of creates a dream state. It puts people inside of a dream state, and it takes that energy and it puts them in an altered reality where they're kind of being fed off of by the Black Mercy, but they're inside of a dream within their mind. And it's here that we see that this world's Lex used the Black Mercy against Superman to keep him in a mental state, so that he was essentially living his life as if he was on Krypton and happy with all his family and all that stuff. And it's here that our Apex Lex reads the mind of this fallen Luthor who's in a hospital, and he's wondering how he could be so small in this world. And then he gets mad, and he actually places his hands on this Lex's mind. And he learns something here that even shocks Apex Lex. And then in a coma, this world's Lex actually smiles. We then go to Earth 50 in the present, where we see the kid, and he's talking to his Apex Lex future self, and he's saying that why are we even talking to them if we're just gonna kill them? I mean, we can travel through space and time, What are we doing this? Why can't we just go and kill them as their baby Luthors? So this young kid is also very ruthless already, and that's kind of what we're seeing here, because we're actually then go to Earth 44 in the present, where we see that the Lex on this world didn't have ambition, he didn't have desire, and he essentially was just working on shoes. And that was that, and so ultimately our young Lex is actually now killing the other Lexes with this little zapper device that he has. We then go to Earth 13 in the past, where we see a more scientist version of Lex Luthor. Again, he gets taken down by the child version of Lex Luthor. It's almost like Apex Lex is now trying to learn from these other Luthors, but also train and teach this younger Lex from this other world here all along the way. We actually then go to Earth 47, where we see an older Lex Luthor who is a scientist, and he is again working with the Black Mercy, a parasitic alien flora that again puts victims into a comatose state that affects like a dream state that is also a reality. And it's here that we see this Lex is working with the Black Mercy. He's actually chopping it up and he's throwing it into the different teas, and it's here that he's visited by Apex Lex and the younger Lex, and this Lex seems to have found peace. He seems to have gained a lot of knowledge. He's laid back. The Earth is kind of really succeeding here, and there's a lot of like vegetation that's also alive here, and they're kind of just talking about their ideologies here. And it's here that this Earth's Lex tells the Apex Lex and the child that he actually uses the tea brewed from the Black Mercy leaves, and it has allowed him to see visions, and he's been transported to countless realities and lived countless lives, and he's had countless second chances. He's seen himself as the Flash, as Hawkman, as Captain Marvel. He's seen himself as Brainiac. He's seen himself as Jonah Hex, as Dr. Fate, as Green Arrow. Many different realities he has seen, and he has witnessed this. And he kind of is laughing at Lex Luthor, because he says that he's even seen him in the visions here. And he says, "Save me, Superman," kind of randomly here. And that is never really fully conveyed. He's teaching the younger Lex about certain things, and then he actually mentions that he's talking about Superman, and he's like, Superman is this singular being. He's singularly unique, and he is like selfless throughout all the multiverses, and that he always like looks out for our best interest. So how could we even guess at the cost of his gifts? Because he says that Superman always puts in the effort. He always thinks about his actions and the feelings and the desires that he has, and how his existence will impact us. And he actually tells Lex that he knows that Lex is ultimately trying to prove himself as a unique, singular being, the one and only Lex Luthor of all the multiverses. And then it's here that the child actually then takes down this world's Lex Luthor, and he says that this Luthor was wrong and they were all wrong. There's no more rivals to cage or reproduce him, to decay the Luthor's potential. There is no other path. There is only Luthor. And then Apex Lex actually transforms this younger Lex into your more classic Lex with the green and purple armor suit, and it's here that the two just kind of fly off, and it's all happy, and they're having fun, and they're living their lives. But then we actually reveal that in the present day, in the events that are happening in Justice League, Apex Lex actually has taken this child, and he has applied the Black Mercy to this younger Lex. And this Lex is living through different dream worlds, different scenarios. So all the events that we might have just seen in this comic book might have been all brought about by the Black Mercy. But it's ultimately training this younger Lex, as he's in a pod for a reason. And it says, Lex Luthor, human DNA backup 1.0. So Apex Lex is using and has gathered this younger Lex, and is having the Black Mercy feed on him and give him different realities ultimately, for some purpose, as a backup of some sorts for himself. Almost as if Lex knows that he's probably going to fail or die, or maybe that Perpetua is going to kill him, or maybe that eventually he wants to go back to being a human, and so he's going to use this young body. Who knows? Either way, this one-shot issue was really great. I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. It was a pretty good read across the board. I don't think it offered too much to the overall Justice League Year of the Villain story, but it was a great chapter and a great read, and I really enjoyed it, and I definitely recommend it. As always, you can check out these videos on youtube.com/one-shot-theory or look up Kelly One Shot, and you can also go to comicbooklegion.com where I do submit my videos as I am a weekly contributor. There's other podcasts, there's other written reviews, there's other contributors of different variations and styles. Check them out there. Check us out on Twitter as well. You can find all of us there. I'm your host, Kelly One Shot. This is the Post-Crisis Podcast. Take care, have a great day, and goodbye!